Hello, everybody, and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to my latest episode here of New Music Weekly, the show where I give you guys the latest prog news, introduce you guys to some new prog singles, and give you updates on the channel and what's happening here on Nathan on Shuffle. Basically, just a weekly opportunity for me to talk more casually to my subscribers and people who stumble across these videos and who enjoy them and like to keep up to date in the prog world. It's a lot of fun to do, and it's basically just my excuse to talk about what I'm passionate about and what's exciting me for the week. So, first I like to talk about the newest releases that are coming out that have been released this weekend. First on my list, of course, is Cosmic Cathedral and the album Deep Water. This is the supergroup project of Neil Morse, Chester Thompson, Phil Keaggy, and Byron House. I absolutely adore this record. I love it. Some people have been calling it kind of Neil Morse by numbers and just, more of the same from him. And it definitely has his signature style and sound, but I love that signature style and sound, and I think there's enough nuance to this release, a bit of a different edge because of the different collaborators that he's brought on board, a little bit of a jazzier vibe that's really interesting, and I heartily recommend this one. I did a full-on review of it last week, so please check out that review. But I want you guys to go out and check it out if this is your style of prog. Also this weekend, Oak has an album called The Third Sleep, which I'm interested in. I still need to spend more time with it, and it's a lot of albums to keep up with and to try to listen to everything. I do my best, but it's definitely one on my list. Ghost has their album Skeleta, which isn't really prog, more in kind of the general rock or metal scene. But a lot of my fellow YouTube friends talk a lot about Ghost, so I wanted to mention it here. Changeling has a self-titled record, which is more in the progressive death metal style vein, some more heavier growling vocals on that one, but a lot of people are praising it, so I thought I'd mention it here. Panzer Ballet also released their record Ubercode Over. So that's another interesting one, more jazz fusion. I believe it's all instrumental, kind of a mixture of jazz fusion and metal that I think's worth your time and attention also. So as for the prog news this week, it's pretty light. I'm going to try to keep this episode pretty tight, pretty short, because there wasn't a ton of things, but I thought there was a couple of cool things that I wanted to mention here. First of all, Jakko M. Jakszyk announced his new solo album, Son of Glen, and released the title track from this upcoming album. This is the King Crimson vocalist and guitarist who's been part of a more recent iteration of King Crimson before I believe they called it quits not too long ago, but he was one of the main members of the latest iteration of King Crimson. This is his 9th solo album, releasing through Inside Out Music on June 27th. And the latest single is really cool. It's a 10-minute title track that's well worth listening to. I'm going to put it into my singles playlist. I'm amassing this pretty big singles playlist for songs I like this year that are really great singles in a prog-related vein. And I have that linked in the description, just this big YouTube playlist where I'm collecting all these songs together. So I'm adding a couple more from this episode. The new album is the follow-up to 2020's Secrets and Lies. It serves as a companion piece to his acclaimed audio biography, Who's the Boy with the Lovely Hair, released last year through Kingmaker Publishing. And so it should be a really good record. It has some good guests on it as well, featuring appearances by drummers Gavin Harrison and Ian Mosley, who are big names in the prog world, cellist Caroline Lavelle, Luis Patricia Crane on vocals, and his son Django on bass guitar. So the new album will be available as limited CD digipack, gatefold LP, and as a digital album. I believe it's up for pre-orders as well at this moment in time. If you want to go to your favorite vendor and pre-order this one, it should be a really cool release. Item number 2, Rick Wakeman, featuring the vocals of Hayley Sanderson, is bringing an all-new show to the U.S. 9-date U.S. tour taking place in July, featuring the vocals of Strictly Come Dancing's Hayley Sanderson, who apparently he's worked with in the past. They've been working together for several years. He accompanied her on her 2009 album Just Songs. So she's definitely someone in his orbit who he really respects, and was very impressed by her versatility and clarity, and is singing lead vocals on these dates, starting in Richmond, Virginia on July 18th, all the way through Phoenixville Pennsylvania on July 31st. So staying strictly in kind of this East Coast place here for these dates. So should be a really cool experience. I saw Rick Wakeman solo on Cruise to the Edge, and it was one of the surprise performances of the cruise for me and Jana. We really enjoyed it quite a lot, and so it'll be cool to see him with a accompanying vocalist as well on this little leg of his touring. So a lot of fun to be had there, and hopefully you'll check that out if you're in the area. Steve Rothery reveals details of new Bioscope album with Tangerine Dream's Thorsten Quaschning. Steve Rothery, of course, is the guitarist of Marillion, one of the best out there, a great, incredible musician. And so this should be a cool project. This is the album's called Gento, releasing through Ear Music in late July or early August. The CD version is available to pre-order from Marillion's Racket label for shipping in early May. The first 500 will be signed by Rothery. So if you want an early copy, that's the route to get it. So it seems like they're pretty excited and happy about this project. It also features Elbow drummer Alex Reeves, and Rothery considers his performance on the album fantastic. There's album art and track listing available to view on the internet if you so choose to look it up. Rothery has been very busy with Marillion, doing live gigs lately. They've been performing their celebrated weekend live events in the Netherlands, Canada, and France, with Italy, the UK, and Germany, and Norway to follow. And they've been working on a new studio album, so kind of cool to hear little inklings that Marillion's working on their next album, which will probably come about in maybe late 2026 or even later than that. So definitely far on the horizon, not anytime soon, but cool to know that they are working on a follow-up record, because their previous one was absolutely fantastic, An Hour Before It's Dark. So great news from the Marillion camp, from Steve Rothery. That should be a cool release to look forward to. The Gento with Tangerine Dream's Thorsten Quaschning should be really cool. VOLA have revealed new tour dates for a North American headlining run. This is going to be happening in September, it looks like. Tickets are available now. If you are interested in this Danish progressive metal outfit, wonderful band. They just released their album Friend of a Phantom last November via Mascot Records. And they've been supporting intervals on their tour earlier this year, so cool to see them headlining their own tour. So I wanted to mention that. Vola's a band I enjoy and have talked about on this channel before. And then finally, Voyager shared their first new music since singer Danny Estrin's cancer diagnosis with their new single, Life is Beautiful. This is an Australian prog band. They were part of the Eurovision contest, so they kind of have a little bit of notoriety now. This is interesting to hear their first new music for 2 years with their comeback single called Seen Better Days. So that should be cool. I'm not sure. I think I said Life is Beautiful, but I don't know where that came from. The single's called Seen Better Days. It's their first new music since the cancer diagnosis from their singer Danny Estrin, which forced the band to cancel a lot of their plans of touring their last album, Fearless in Love. So definitely a disappointing thing that happened. Difficult times for the band, for Estrin. But it's nice to see that they're coming out with new music and that there's new life for the band. And it should be really cool to see them. So they're going to be performing 2 live shows in their hometown of Perth this coming June, July. And that should be really cool. So cool to see some activity with the band, and this new single is really great. So definitely going to be on the singles list as well. So definitely really cool stuff going on. Really excited for what's coming up ahead. There's a lot of great albums that I'm planning to review and talk about in short order here. I'm going to be talking about the new Flower Kings record this week, maybe even as soon as tomorrow, putting out that video for their new album Love, which I think is just fantastic. So definitely want to do a bit of a deep dive into that record, since Flower Kings are one of my favorite artists of all time. I did a smattering of reviews this week. I feel like I had a pretty busy week on the channel, if you haven't noticed. Me and Janet did our Cruise to the Edge recap, which I really urge you to put your attention towards if you haven't seen that yet. We put that out last Sunday. Maybe because it came out on Easter Sunday, people might have missed it, but it was a really spectacular time to talk with my wife about our fabulous experience. And I did a trio of reviews. I did Glass Hammer's Rogue, On Monday, I did Black Country New Roads Forever How Long on Tuesday, and then Brass Camel and their album Camel. All well worth your time and attention. Very different albums, all three of them. Glasshammer Rogue is more in kind of the traditional symphonic prog vein. Black Country New Road is much more in kind of the indie rock, post-punk scene. But I've really been enjoying it and feel like they have some kinship to some prog folk and other progressive elements. And Brass Camel, which is just really fun, classic 70s rock with a prog tinge, with a funky vibe. And I just absolutely fell in love with their latest record. So that's what I've been interested in and excited about. There's a lot of upcoming releases that I'm also going to be talking about, like the latest from Magic Pie, which is coming out in May, as well as Lars Fredrik Frosli. I'm going to be coming out with reviews for those two in short order in the coming weeks ahead. So hopefully you're excited about what's happening in the prog scene. Hopefully you don't mind this kind of shorter update video, and I hope you guys are just having a blast out there. So thank you guys. Enjoy the music, and I'll catch up with you on a future episode, hopefully. Bye, everybody.